Welcome to today's edition of the 2025 Rome and Floyd County High School Football Preview Show Series, presented by Advent Health Redmond. WLAQ Sports sits down with each area head coach to discuss the upcoming season. Here are your hosts, Matt Davis and Ian Griffin.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Coosa Eagles Football Preview Show with head coach Geoff Cannon, presented by Advent Health Redmond. Glad to be here and want to start by thanking you, Coach, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us for a few minutes.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure.
Well, we'll jump right in to the conversation, and we'll start by looking back at 2024. Last season was your first at the helm of the Coosa Eagles. It culminated in the first playoff appearance for the program in 5 seasons. So how would you describe the experience overall of your first full year working to build this Coosa program?
Well, it was great. It was a great experience. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, a couple games. And, as we continue to try to build it at Coosa, with our players and coaches in our community, you get to look at those fresh memories of areas that you fell short and inject those into an off-season program to get you ready to go. We also feel that when we took our little 3-6 team up to Summerville, in Game 10 to play at Chattooga, I think we were something like a 29-point underdog, and they had the leading rusher in all classifications in the state. And he ran for 303 yards. Now, let's not, the kid's outstanding and probably made 100 tackles, and we sure are glad. I would have handed him his diploma himself in May. But our kids went up there and battled and secured us a playoff berth in Game 10 on the road. And it just said a lot it would really helped because if you look back in last year when I was sitting in this chair, we were talking about not scoreboard watching. We were talking about, the things that it takes to set standards and to hold kids accountable when you're trying to your first year, building something at a new school. And it was really nice to see in Game 10 a group of seniors who really, they just had to choose to do what we were asking them to do. They had to choose to buy in and buy what we were selling as a coaching staff with almost no fruit to be able to attach to it, just to do it for the kids coming behind them, just to do it for the future of Coosa football. And we had a group that did. And, to get the honor to take a long bus ride down to Sylvester, which is the whole reason I came up here, is to get out having to play a Worth County or a Pierce County or a Thomasville or something, and by golly, we went on down there and that was something. But the trip was great. The experience was valuable to our players, old and young. And we feel like we've set a standard. We want that to be the goal. Now whether we reach it or not year in and year out is, that's why we play the games. But to give our football community, something to look at and some early fruit, it was really great.
And Coach, as a follow-up to that, one of the things that happens that people may or may not think about when you do make it to the playoffs like that, obviously that's another week that you had with your kids to prepare for another game, to prepare for a long road trip like you talk about. So what kind of dividends and advantages come out of a situation like that, particularly when you're trying to build the foundation of a program? You get some extra time to prepare for that situation.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And because of the early hurricanes last year, there was a built-in off week after Game 10. So we got that week, and then we got the week to prepare for Worth County. So we really got 2 weeks, which is now the GHSA has gone back and extended the calendar to where at least this season – that's guaranteed. That off week is on the calendar. So if you make the playoffs, you're gonna steal 2 weeks again this coming season, which again is, like you said, it's extremely beneficial. By that time, you're going into Game 11. You've got 2 weeks to get ready for it, and it is physically, especially Single A Division I. We don't really call it depth; we just call it shallow. Where we are, you just don't have a lot of Friday night players. Week in and week out. You're gonna play your best 11 at this level. of the group on the team that meet the standards to be able to participate in the game that week. You're going to play the best 11, and so you've got some kids going both ways. And so by going into game 11, you've really throttled down in season contact and practice physicality, but you want to maintain that kind of grit and toughness. And so it really is a fine line. It's hard to do. I'm going into season 24 in my career as being a football coach, and it's definitely something worth studying about how to practice late in the season. And but those reps are invaluable. Those younger kids, those JV kids, are still getting scout team reps, and they're all just holding on for dear life and trying to get that locked in so that we can go achieve the things we want to achieve. And at that point, it's everybody's 0-0, and it's you either win the thing or you get knocked out. And then after that, you can come up for air and go practice basketball and go wrestle and go play all the things that you want them to play in the wintertime at a single A high school.
Well, Coach, this time last year, you were still acclimating to Northwest Georgia and getting to know your new community. How have things been different compared to last year in terms of preparation for the upcoming season versus when you first arrived?
Right. Well, it was great to go through an off season, a January and to May, having my children here and having my wife here. So for a number of reasons, my middle son, Charlie, is a quarterback on the team, and played basketball, played baseball, so not missing any of those games like I did last spring. And then my youngest son, Philip, he finished the 8th grade, and his Coosa middle soccer team won their conference championship. So to be able to go to those games and to support him in that, and then my little girl Ella was finishing up 2nd grade, and to be able to just be active, not in season, and be a dad and be a husband was head and shoulders above everything else. Now spin that into coming into an off season with your quarterback in town, and lifting all the weights and doing all the off season work that we did, and being able to participate in spring practice with a full unit was really, really good.
So I have to piggyback off that question and just ask about the father-son coach-player dynamic. When you guys get home from practice and you're sitting down at the dinner table, is it football 24/7?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And listen, so it could have been really with my oldest son, Kirkland, and he was just a lot quieter of a 16, 17-year-old, but I still didn't do it. I still had committed to, they know, both of them knew if they had questions for me, they could ask them. Hey, did you look at clip 52? We can have those conversations, but that's it. At the dinner table, we are not talking about football. And I'd love to say that that's a Mrs. Coach Cannon rule, but I don't know. It's just not it's not something we've ever discussed really as a married couple and as parents. But Charlie drives now, so he, hey, better be on time, right? Like everybody else, and he gets to go to church on Wednesday night, and he gets to go do the things that he's doing, and not necessarily need a ride. But I got to tell you, we would talk about it if there was things that needed discussing. But Luke Medlock, who's our quarterback's coach, is really, really good, and he and Charlie have a great relationship. I leave it alone. Now, really, the dynamic that you really want to ask about is like in practice and in games, because that is really interesting. And I've begged, Chris Parker Resources does a great podcast. I've told him, I was like, listen, here's some names of some guys. I mean, I worked with Greg Vandergriff at Cal High School when Brock Vandergriff was born, and so I know throughout the years at Prince Avenue that he was coaching his son, who was a quarterback. Coach Gross at Gordon Lee, his son is a running back. There's guys, because I want to know. Like 'cause I'm just winging it, man. And my kids, they're all so different. So what worked with Kirkland is not going to work with Charlie, and vice versa. And so it's just different. Now I will tell you. That Kirkland, being very reserved, the quiet leader or whatnot, Charlie is a lot more vocal, and he will tell me in the huddle of a OTA, we need to get in this and run this. Okay, we got we got to play. You call it, run it, and let's go. And he'll do that. It may work, it may not. But he sees things and gives immediate feedback, which is extremely helpful. And as a sophomore last year, going through the season, he'd meet me at the numbers, a couple times and say, hey, you need to think about this. You need to look at this, which is just helpful, and I can't be out there, on a Friday night. And so your quarterback, and your Mike linebacker, they're in charge. And so you need to know what they're seeing respectively on their sides of the ball. And so, Charlie's also real quick to say, hey, we ought not to run that again. It's just, and whether it might not be schematic though, it might be a matchup thing too. It was like, listen, yes, it should work against a 3 technique, but it's not just because of who their 3 tech is and what we've got going on. So, maybe that's the case. And so it's very, very helpful. And again, so he's going into his junior year. He started 5 games as a 9th grader, played in all 10, played in all of our football games, obviously started all our football games, the 11 games that we played here at Coosa. And so just like him and everybody else at single A Division I, stay healthy, and we hope that we can go have some fun.
Well, Coach, one more question in this segment, and then we'll move on to our first break. But one of the things that I'm a little bit curious about here is obviously this is year 2 for you at Coosa. Been coaching a long time, as you pointed out earlier, but this is year 2 at Coosa. So last year I know you were installing offense, defense, expectations, special teams, getting to know everybody, laying that foundation. So for you as the head coach, going into this year, do you adjust your expectations in terms of the process and how things flow and things of that nature? I'm not necessarily asking you to give us what you think your record's going to be, but in terms of what you expect from how people prepare, are there different expectations this year versus last year now that everybody knows what to expect from you?
Yeah, and we had 2 weeks of spring football too, which we didn't have last year. So personally, the expectations are always very high. And everybody sitting in this chair towards the end of July is excited about it, right? Because we've played no games, we've lost no games, but you haven't won any either. And so, and then you look at your unit and your squad, and you think about, the improvements that you've made, and then maybe some holes that you lost to graduation, and how we're going about filling those. And then you look at all the teams in your region or on your complete 10-game schedule, and are they going to be any better, when it comes to personnel that they've graduated or what they've have coming back. And that's really what it takes. You can sit in your chair and think, well, we should be better, and we should. I don't know what that's going to translate to because of how everybody else, the other 9-10 teams, are looking as well. And so for us, we expect to be better. We expect to improve all the time. And when it comes to growth in scheme on all 3 phases of the game, yes, there's been time. So we should be able to, and we have added some things where we think matches our personnel and think that we can do well. So that's exciting to be able to bring more tools with us into a game on a Friday night.
This is our 2025 Coosa Eagles High School Football Preview Show. Coach Geoff Cannon's with us, enjoying our conversation as always. We do need to take a break, though, and we appreciate our presenting sponsor, Advent Health Redmond, for being with us, also Georgia Northwestern Technical College, as well as Riverside Auto Group. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more conversation.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling, and the whole world smiles with you. When you're crying, you bring on the rain. Stop your sighing. Won't you be happy again? When you're smiling, keep on smiling, and the whole world smiles.
Never ever stop reaching for what makes you feel whole. Advent Health. Feel whole.
Looking for an affordable, convenient way to jumpstart your career? At Georgia Northwestern Technical College, we make education work for you. With hands-on training, many tuition-free programs through the Hope Career Grant, Plus, a 99% job placement rate means you'll be ready to fill in-demand jobs. Don't wait. Get the skills you need for the job you want. Visit gntc.edu today and start building your future.
Are you shopping for a new car, truck, or SUV? Riverside Auto Group has a location to meet your needs. Browse their selection online at riversideautogroup.com or visit with them in person at Riverside Chevrolet GMC in Rome, Riverside Toyota in Rome, Riverside Nissan in Rome, or Riverside GMC Cadillac in Cartersville. Locally owned and operated by the Welburn family since 1974. That's Riverside Auto Group.
All right, we welcome you back to the Coosa High preview with head coach Geoff Cannon, getting ready for year 2 to begin here in just a matter of weeks. And I do want to ask a question that we didn't necessarily prepare for today, but when you walked in with the Coosa helmet here, and I hope you can see it on the camera. I can't tell from that angle if you can see the red stripe that's on the top. Ian's going to help us out. There you go. So I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Have you ever seen that, Ian?
No. So tell us the story behind the stripe.
Sure, with pleasure. So as you probably know, people are passionate about the kind of music you play in church on Sunday. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to look sideways to that and think a few things. Now, we were fortunate enough in March in our field house to host on a Saturday some players from like 84, 85, and 86, and even 87. Gary Graves, who's my pastor at Calvary Baptist Church, was the head football coach then, and it was just an opportunity for me to get in front of some former players, share my vision for our program, and then it was just a really just great time of fellowship for those guys. I mean, we had pulled up some old black and white game film that was on YouTube, had been up, the old 8mm stuff. It was uploaded to YouTube, and they're just letting it run in our big meeting room in our new field house, and having them walk out and just kind of feel the turf with their feet. Just different, right? Just a different time. I joked with them, they could fold their helmet up and put it in their back pocket. And it's not true, but anyhow, there was a helmet of a former player, and it was fall of 1985, which would be 40 years from now. And the Eagles, much different, but they had a red stripe down that black hat on the top. And we felt like, as a coaching staff, that it would be pretty special to commemorate that 1985 football team and slap that red stripe on there. Now, a lot of people, we're going to put a graphic out describing that and explaining that. Lots of folks are still not going to see it, and they're going to take issue. But I got to tell you, there's a group of men that sweat and bled on that practice field and in that stadium, 40 years ago, and won some football games, and they were pretty tough too. Those are some tough men, and so we want this generation of Coosa Eagles just to look back some and tip our cap to the sacrifice that they made, and that's the way we're going to do it this year.
Well, not that anybody wants it, but I'll give my 2 cents. When you walked up the steps here at WLAQ at the foot of an alto, I noticed it right away. It pops.
Yeah.
It might be the sharpest helmet that I've ever on any staff I've ever been on. I really love it.
And your public address to the why behind it is important. I had a plumber a few years ago when Coosa was losing some games that was blaming it all on the white helmets. I mean, it's those white helmets. I was like, I'm sure it is.
Well, that helmet will never be white again, and there it is. That black hat defense. We want to make sure that's who we are forever. But that red stripe, that's what it means. It's going to mean something to our kids, and it's going to mean something to some guys that Coosa holds a pretty dear place in their heart.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes us jump ahead in the programming here. I want to ask this question to follow up on that, because last year Matt and I can't be in 8 places at once like we'd like to be, so we didn't get a chance to come out and see you guys at home, but heard great things about how the community showed up and supported your team last year. So I would love to, hear your telling of the support you're getting from the fan base.
Yeah, there's a picture hanging in our field house, and it was our homecoming game against Ridgeland. It was a 28-6, 28-7 win for us, and it's taken from the field house, so it looks out to the home side of Branch Bragg. And it was pretty full, and the sun was going down, and it's just a beautiful picture. They're punting. Our defense is on, and it's a little far. The kids on the field are a little further away. I know. I've looked at it and studied. I was like, oh, well, that's a punt formation. We must be in some sort of punt return. But it's a great picture, and to me, it really describes visually what a home game was like at Coosa last year, and this year we have 6. So we had 4 last year. We're having 6 this year, and this is what's hard as a head football coach, because again, like I said, we're not going to scoreboard watch. We're not going to do these things, but winning covers a multitude of sins, and if we can win some football games, the people will come and pay their $10 and come watch these boys play. They will. So we have to do our part, and we have to do our job and put a product on the field that the community can be proud of.
Absolutely. Well said. Coach, one of the things that I know you've put a lot of work into is assembling the best coaching staff that you possibly can out there at Coosa to help you out. So let's talk about those guys a little bit. Tell us about your coaching staff, who they are, what they bring to the table, those sorts of things.
Sure. Well, Coach Chris Mahan is my defensive coordinator, year 2. This is maybe his 3rd year in Georgia. 25 years in Alabama, retired. 21 of those 25, I believe, were as a head coach. So he's been a head coach a whole lot longer than I have, and it's the perfect veteran guy to have on staff. When it comes to game management, just when it comes to dealing with things, like you'd be amazed at the things that we have to deal with on a daily basis that we've never dealt with before. Just odd, just working with kids and families and parents and school system. I mean, it's just some things come up, and you need a veteran on staff that you can go to, and that's him. And very excited about what our young defense is going to look like this year. Going into year 2 of the way that he calls defense and how we coach it in practice and whatnot. Very much so looking forward to that. Jamie Penny, year 2, my offensive coordinator, offensive line. He's in the weight room with me. Does just an outstanding job. He's our graphics guy. He's our everything guy. He's the guy that has to stay after practice to sit with me for a couple minutes to make sure we've got everything if we're going on a trip the next day, whether it's a summer OTA, a summer 7-on-7, or a real football game. He's that guy. Handles a lot of things equipment-wise for us. And just does a bang-up job. Luke Medlock, like I mentioned before. And Coach Penny's a head track coach for us as well. Coach Medlock is our quarterbacks and safeties, and our head boys soccer coach in the spring. Young coach, college quarterback, just a great relationship guy. Really, the son of a coach. His dad, a longtime head coach in Florida, was an assistant coach at Coosa years ago, and there's just a great connection there. Really, really gifted at connecting with kids and working our scheme on both sides of the ball. Very helpful. And whatnot. Tyler Bradley, head boys basketball, coaches our receivers and our corners. Again, tremendous player at Coosa High School. Really just everyone's favorite Coosa son, and absolutely tremendous relationship guy, being able to connect with our kids. And he's just an outstanding football coach. Now, you're not going to hear a lot from him, but you will look over there and see him, very quietly making adjustments and changes with things. I've seen him do it at basketball too, which is just really good. Now, again, he can be as vocal and as loud as anybody, but will you really see him make a way with these kids when he is right hip to hip and just kind of talks with his hands a lot too. It's out. He's just a really good coach. Let's see. I've got 2 new guys on staff. Colin Yvonne, I brought up from our middle school program. So this will be year 2 for him in our overall program, first year as a varsity football coach. He's the head middle school wrestling coach as well. He'll be coaching our interior D linemen and helping Coach Penny with the offensive line. Very excited about him. Good young coach, reminds me of me. Both my 2 young guys just remind me of me, really. They try to beat me there. They try to have the bags out and the water fill. I haven't put ice in a cooler since these 2 guys got hired. I'm telling you, listen, that's a big deal. Coach Bradley, Coach Penny, Coach Medlock, really shouldered that weight when I arrived last year. These 2 young guys, Coach Colin Yvonne for one, and then Coach Gunnar Bailey is my latest hire. That I'm very excited about. He's going to help Coach Yvonne with those 2 interior defensive linemen and coach our tight ends. Young guy, went to Cedar Bluff High School right across the state line, graduated from University of Alabama. We're trying not to have those conversations, privately, War Eagle. Tremendous young man. His former football coach called me when we had an opening. He came highly recommended, and he has really fit the bill. What's really awesome about these 2 young guys is Coach Yvonne teaches in the 7th grade and absolutely loves it and does a bang-up job in our middle school. And Coach Bailey's going to be teaching some AP at the high school. So you got a young guy coming in willing, and so I missed him for a week. He's at AP training, over the summer and doing the things that you got to do to get up to speed to do that. And those are the kinds of things that I like to see. I've always said that your best teachers in the building are going to be your best coaches and vice versa. And so, as highly as I think of my football staff, they can get after it in the classroom. And so I'm really excited about this group of guys. I will have a community coach, Branson Wingate, kind of just run some things on the sideline for me during games. Once the season picks up, he'll start making it to practice. We're 7 a.m. right now still. And so, but once we start going in the afternoon, he'll be able to come off work and help us there. And then my oldest son, Kirkland, when he gets back here from his amazing summer that he's had on St. Simon's for like 4 months. When he gets back to start school, again in August, he'll be running our tent for us on Friday nights too. So it'll be good.
Sounds like you've got an awesome staff, and that's going to bring us to our second break. We appreciate you all tuning in to our 2025 Coosa Eagles football preview show with head coach Geoff Cannon.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling, and the whole world smiles with you. When you're crying, you bring on the rain. Stop your sighing. Won't you be happy again? When you're smiling, keep on smiling, and the whole world.
Never, ever stop reaching for what makes you feel whole. Advent Health. Feel whole.
Looking for an affordable, convenient way to jumpstart your career? At Georgia Northwestern Technical College, we make education work for you. With hands-on training, many tuition-free programs through the Hope Career Grant, plus a 99% job placement rate means you'll be ready to fill in-demand jobs. Don't wait. Get the skills you need for the job you want. Visit gntc.edu today and start building your future.
Are you shopping for a new car, truck, or SUV? Riverside Auto Group has a location to meet your needs. Browse their selection online at riversideautogroup.com or visit with them in person at Riverside Chevrolet GMC in Rome, Riverside Toyota in Rome, Riverside Nissan in Rome, or Riverside GMC Cadillac in Cartersville. Locally owned and operated by the Welburn family since 1974. That's Riverside Auto Group.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Coosa Eagles football preview show presented by Advent Health Redmond with Eagles head coach Geoff Cannon. We're going to jump back into the conversation and dive into the X's and O's in your roster. So let's start by talking about the offense. We've already talked about your quarterback, who also happens to be your son, Charlie Cannon. He made some waves last year. We were hearing a lot about this young man's playmaking ability. So talk to us about your quarterback a little bit more and the offense and how it's taking shape.
Sure. Well, we're excited. Anytime you have your quarterback coming back is a good thing. So he's put on about 15 or 20 pounds, which is really going to help him. Done all his off-season work. Played basketball, played baseball, and was still able to go to some camps this summer and do the things that he needed to do to get better. His work in the weight room is outstanding, but that's the whole unit. They are feeding off each other. It's weird. I know I said it last year too, probably, but I'll say it every time that I got a microphone in front of me. But it's so strange to me how you lose 25%, right? Let's just call it what it is, right? You're a fourth-year team. You graduate seniors. You bring in the other 25% from these rising freshmen. So your 75% is the same every year. Yet year in and year out, your team is so different. Their personality is so different. And that just amazes me that's the way it is. And our group this year is pretty great. They like hanging out with each other. They're fun. Offensively, we've got Timbo Mitchell, who's about 6'3", basketball player for us, to decide he's going to be a senior, came out to play football this year, and was one of our guys that made 100% of our summer. So he just looks like a football player at free safety, and then going to get, footballs at receiver. We're very excited about Timbo and glad to have him a part. In the slot, Vanier Millsap played a lot of X last year in corner. He'll go at slot this year, our inside receiver, and safety. And we'll talk when we flip back over. I'll talk about that again. He's a playmaker in space. We're very excited about him. Another great senior leader. Our kind of wing back, H back, third inside receiver, Caden Turner is another returner for us that we want to get the ball to. We're excited about the things that he brings. I've got some other guys that can play that spot. Hagen Cawthon can come back, is a returning guy for us, going to be a senior, very physical on the offensive side of the ball. He's going to start at defensive end and come in and spot play some in our wing, some of our wing sniffer sets. Our tight end, Kevin Weaver, sophomore. And all of my tight ends pretty much that are going to participate are sophomores and juniors. So I don't have a ninth grade tight end. I've got a defensive end that's going to be a senior, Josh Garrett, that can play a little bit at tight end, but really we're junior and sophomore heavy. But Kevin Weaver's going to start at our will linebacker and start at tight end as a 10th grader. Very, very encouraged. He's got great hands, and we have put some weight on him and built his physicality to where he can down block for us too as well. The BJ Porter, losing him, it's a very big shoes to fill for Kevin Weaver. We're excited about that opportunity. At running back, senior Xander Sledge is coming back. He's a track guy. He's a 100-meter guy. Had a 65-yard touchdown against Norville in our spring game, just inside zone. Catch a crease, you're not catching him. He's elite speed for us, which is saying something. I have a rising sophomore, C.J. White, that'll come in, and he's a lot more of the thunder to Xander's lightning. And then I have a rising ninth grader, Jalen Hazard, that's going to get some carries. He also had a touchdown in the varsity portion as an eighth grader, of the varsity portion of our scrimmage against Norville. He's a little bit of both. He'll put his head, he doesn't look like much, but he'll put his head down and run over you and make you miss 3 times in a phone booth. So we're excited about our running back room. None of that will matter, though, if these 5 guys up front, 6 really for us, don't get the job done. Braden Turpin, 3-year starter, coming back at center, our lineman of the year from last year, extremely physical, very much so everything you want in an offensive and defensive lineman. We have 3 guards to play 2 spots. 2 juniors and a senior. Our senior, Colton Ingram, very excited about him. He spot played last year. He's going to get all he wants this year. Very excited about the gains that he's made in the weight room to get stronger. Same with juniors Drew Smith and Rodrigo Cruz, both much stronger. Drew Smith started every game for us at guard at like 170 pounds last year. He's at 200 now. So he is definitely the picture of a kid that took what we told him when the season ended. This is what you got to do to help us and to help yourself, and he did it. So we're very excited to see what he's going to do. Gavin Holt returning at left tackle. He's a senior. Very excited about him. The work that he does in the weight room has paid off. And then right now, penciled in at right tackle is senior Ian Holsey, and our ace baseball pitcher is our starting right tackle right now. So pretty awesome though. Great kid, taking coaching, continues to work hard. Going to be a senior. Really went through it as a junior last year to get to where he can fight for a starting position this year. And right now, if we had to play today, those would be our starting five with that guard rotating through. They rotate and play both and whatnot. They've got a good thing going on. I do have a rising junior, Topher Cloud, who's really made some noise this week in acclimation. Also did not miss a workout in the summer, which is tremendous. So we're really excited to see what he can do to come in if need be and play, and then maybe even win a spot. We're excited about that. I've got some other receivers that'll come in and play. J.J. Warren will come in and get some time. Sophomore Jackson Shell will come in and catch balls. And I've got a rising ninth grader, Keelan Jackson, who is really, really smooth and really good route running, great hands. And so those are our four. Timbo, J.J. Jackson, and Keelan are right now our four varsity receivers in the rotation right there. We're pretty excited about that group on offense.
Well, then the natural progression of these things is to switch over to the other side of the ball and talk some defense. And you kind of alluded to this earlier, but obviously this is single A football. Yep. So I imagine we're going to be running back a lot of the same names.
Some of the same names, right?
Maybe, you have some situations where you got some guys that specialize on one side of the ball or the other, but I would imagine by and large it'd be a lot of the same guys, huh?
Yeah. So if we went right now, our two interior defensive line, we're going to be more of a four-man front this year. Our base 3-4 from last year is still in there, but we're a little lineman heavy. We've got some size, and we wanted to see what we could do with that. So we're basing out of a four-man front this year. Our two interior guys right now are Braden Turpin and Jackson Monteroso, who's probably one of the strongest kids on our team at defensive line. Terrell Dulaney, who's a rising sophomore. Almost 400 pounds, will surprise you, can move a little bit. This is his first year playing, but he committed to play in January and has worked very hard this offseason to get to a place where he can play. He sheds blockers and gets to the football. And so if you're going to do that, you're going to play. Defensively, from a philosophy standpoint, we just want a relentless pursuit of the football, right? Line up correctly, know what to do, know your job, and then just relentlessly pursue the football. And I don't care who you are. If you're going to do that and shed blockers on the way, you're going to play for us. So Terrell Delaney's going to get some, all things stay the same, he's going to get some time. We've got a big Brody Anglin going to be a junior. He's probably going to see some time inside there. At our defensive end spots, you'll have some offensive linemen like Rodrigo Cruz and Drew Smith. But right now, to start out there is Hagan Cawthon at strong end. Strong, physical, fast. Just want him to beat up a tight end and get to the football. And at weekend is going to be sophomore Brody Thomas, who covered some kicks for us late in region play last year. A striker. He just wants to hit people. So we're going to give him the opportunity. At linebacker, sophomore Hayden Smith, who ended up starting 4 or 5 games last year as a ninth grader, has also done the work gaining weight and getting stronger in the weight room. He's a really good football player, and it's very exciting to have him for 3 more football seasons. Next to him, Kevin Weaver, our tight end, like I talked about. He'll be a weak inside linebacker if we had to go right now. And then at outside linebacker, our Sam position is Jordan Scott. Now, this is his first year with us, but he played football in middle school. He's going to be a junior and has been a great basketball player for us. So him coming out and Timbo Mitchell coming out, this is really, really good for the Coosa Eagles. You've got to have guys play multiple sports, and we've got athletes doing that, so we're excited. At corner, junior J.J. Warren, as I mentioned, at receiver before, locking down one side, and then sophomore Keelan Buffington is playing the other corner. Really impressed with both of them. They will do their job. They will line up right and work really hard. Going at safety right now, we have Timbo Mitchell and Vanye Millsap, as I mentioned earlier. Those are our two safeties. Aaron Hanner was a safety for us last year as a rising senior. He's going to play a ton and could win a job between now and August anyway. It's all up for grabs. So some guys that rotate in, Xander Sledge comes over and plays Sam for Jordan, things like that. Gavin Holt at left tackle comes and plays inside linebacker. Daniel Ramey is another junior who's going to play some of that wing H-back for us and some inside linebacker for us. We're pretty excited about that. AJ Stocks is a backup corner, rising junior, and Javion Gibson, rising sophomore, is our second string corner. These guys are going to play. They're going to play, and so because if JJ just runs 3 go routes at wide receiver, AJ or Javion's going to have to jump in for a couple plays, to start a defensive drive. It's my job to get them ready to play, but that just makes good sense. To put a capable Friday night football player in for your starter to take a breath for 2 or 3 plays and then get back in there and play football.
Well, Coach, we've covered the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. Let's talk about the third phase and spend a little time on special teams. How are they shaping up as kickoff?
Yeah, well, I've got all my kickers are returning. It's outstanding. Wallace Ordonez, he was also 1 for 1 for a 74-yard pass completion on a fake punt in Somerville last year. Got us to the 1. He re-scored, but they marked us out inside the 1. We did punch it in, but that's why it's 74 yards instead of 75. So we have the 1 pass completion. Wallace Ordonez is outstanding kicker. So field goals, PATs, the way we do our kickoffs. Saul Valerio, right behind them. We're going to see if one of them can major in kickoff and kind of own that, and the other one can punt and kick PATs and extra points. We'll just see. I do have a rising 9th grader, Damian Oriano, plays soccer with my son Philip. He's going to be a very good kicker, and so I'm excited about that as well. So I got 3 kids right now that can kick the football. Got some guys that can throw it back there and snap it. The rest is just having a passion for being a good teammate and covering kicks like your house is on fire.
And Coach, last question as we get ready to wind down. In addition to practice, work in the weight room, other football activities typically that we talk about in these kind of conversations related to building a team, what are other aspects of bringing these guys together and building them up do you focus on that are important to you, Coach, as a leader of young men,
Sure.
not just football players?
Well, the standard is a standard, and it bows to no one. So the standard does not bow for me. It doesn't change or bow to someone who shares my last name, and it's not going to move for any kid, regardless of their role on our team. Now, that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes as a coach and a player, but you cannot move the standard. So it won't move. Our kids are going to do the things that we require them to do, and that's the group that we're going to draw our 11 starters out of. I hope that makes sense. So I might have 60 on the roster, but only 54 of them are doing right in school, doing right in the community, and meeting our standards as a program. So we'll just pull from the 54 to get our best 11 on the field. So that setting that standard, it's a lot easier to do when you first come in. Now everybody's like, okay, well, you've been here 18 months. Well, Coach Cannon likes me. I don't have to. No, the standard doesn't bend for anyone. This year, we're going to try to play with an edge, and that's what I saw really from a 30,000-foot view last year. Is we just didn't play football. It didn't matter offense, defense, special. We just didn't play with a chip on our shoulder. We didn't want to set the edge defensively. Right, and we didn't just play with a by golly on offense. We got to get this 1 yard. We need to get it. We did do it. We did execute it some, but I just during the off season when I got to reflect and think about it, we just didn't play with an edge. So we're gonna play with one this year. And again, just like coaches do, right? The EDGE, right? So, we're going to have energy, we're going to be disciplined, we're going to have grit, and we're going to play with some excellence. So it's going to stand for something. It's going to mean something to our guys to put that helmet on, like they did 40 years ago, and go out and play really good Coosa Eagle football. And that's what we want to do.
I'm ready to go play. I'm
Fired up. This has been fantastic as always. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate this. It's great to get to talk to you about some Coosa Eagles football this close to the start of the season.
Yeah, thank you guys. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles. That's going to put a wrap on our 2025 Coosa Eagles football preview show with Coach Geoff Cannon, getting ready for his second year at the helm of the Coosa Eagles. And we want to take the opportunity here as we wrap up to thank our sponsors, Advent Health Redmond, our presenting sponsor, also Georgia Northwestern Technical College and Riverside Auto Group. Appreciate their support of our coverage of local high school athletics here in Roman Floyd County. For Ian Griffin, I'm Matt Davis and Coach Cannon. We hope you have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Eagles Preview.
Hope you enjoyed this edition of the 2025 Roman Floyd County High School Football Preview Shows, presented by Advent Health Redmond. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to our channel for more local content from the WLAQ Radio YouTube channel.